Hello, welcome to the course SJPHY2C02 Optics, Laser and Electronics. The contents of today's lecture is taken from Principles of Electronics by V.K. Mehta. We will continue to discuss topics from Module 4, Electronics. The last class we discussed about the idea of a transistor being employed as an amplifier. So here the signal is transferred from a low resistance input circuit into a high resistance output circuit. In that process, the strength of the signal increases. Now, what are the different configurations in which you can make a transistor work as an amplifier? As we know, a transistor has three terminals: emitter, base and collector. However, if you were to connect a transistor in any circuit, we require four terminals, right? Two for the input and two for the output. So how do you overcome this difficulty? You need to make one of the terminals common between the input and output. So accordingly, a transistor can be connected in a circuit in three ways. One, making the base common. This is known as common base connection. Second one, common emitter connection. Third one, common collector connection. One thing you have to keep in mind, regardless of the circuit configuration, the emitter is always forward bias and the collector is always reverse bias. First, let's discuss about common base connection or CB connection. As the name suggests, the base of the transistor is common to both input and output circuit. So input is applied between the emitter and base as shown in this figure, and output is taken from collector and the base. Okay. So you need to get familiarized with the voltage notation here. So this is a double script notation. So when both the scripts are same, it indicates a bias voltage or a source voltage. Okay. So here VEE is the source voltage at the emitter side. Similarly, VCC is the source voltage at the collector side, source voltage or the bias voltage. On the other hand, if the scripts are different, for example, if I say VEB, it indicates the potential difference between emitter and base. Similarly, VCB is the potential difference between collector and the base. Okay, so that's the convention we are going to follow now onwards. Okay. So here you can see, if you look at the emitter side or the input side, the P side is connected to positive, N side is connected to negative. This is forward bias. Here the collector, N side or collector is connected to the positive terminal, so this is reverse bias. Now, in any amplifier, the ratio of output current to input current is known as current amplification factor. Now in the case of common base connection, the input current, you can see from this figure, is the emitter current and output current is the collector current. So current amplification factor alpha of a common base amplifier is defined as the ratio of change in collector current delta IC to the change in emitter current delta IE at constant collector base voltage VCB. So alpha equal to delta IC by delta IE. Or if you are considering only DC values, you can define alpha as IC by IE. So as we know, IE equal to IB plus IC. Since IB is very small, IE is almost equal to IC, right? So the practical values of alpha ranges between 0.9 and 0.99. And expectedly it can be maximized by minimizing IB. So what's the maximum theoretical value it can achieve when IC equal to IE, right? So alpha will be 1. But in any practical transistor, a tiny amount of current will be released in the form of base current, so you can never reach the value 1, or you can make it very close to 1. But if you look at the amplification factor, this is not very impressive, right? Because amplification factor is output by input. So when you say alpha equal to 0.99, it means that output is less than the input, right? So this is one of the biggest downside of a common base connection. The current amplification factor is very low. So it's not of much practical use. The next one is the common emitter connection. As the name suggests, emitter of the transistor is common to both input and output circuit. So here VBB is the source voltage at the base side. So this is going to make the base emitter diode forward bias, and VCC is the source voltage or bias voltage at the collector side. This is going to reverse bias the collector diode. Okay. So from the figure you can note that the input current is the base current and output current is the collector current. So the current amplification factor, here it is called as beta. Beta is defined as the ratio of change in collector current to the change in base current. So beta is delta IC by delta IB. But if you are considering only DC values, then beta is going to be IC by IB. Now we know that in any practical transistor, the value of IB is very, very small, right? Less than 5% of the emit current only flows as the base current. So the denominator is going to be very, very small. That's why the value of current amplification factor is generally very high in the case of common emitter connection. It typically ranges between 20 to 500. That's why most of the transistor applications use common emitter connection, because it gives very good current gain as well as voltage gain. So more than 90 to 95% of the transistor application employ common emitter connection. What's the relation between beta and alpha? So we know the fundamental equation IE equal to IB plus IC. From this I can write the change in emitter current delta IE equal to change in base current delta IB plus change in collector current delta IC, or delta IB equal to delta IE minus delta IC. Now beta is delta IC by delta IB. Instead of delta IB, now I can write delta IE minus delta IC. Now both numerator and denominator you divide with delta IE. Since you are dividing with the same factor on either side, the value of beta remains constant, right? So beta equal to delta IC divided by delta IE divided by delta IE minus delta IC whole divided by delta IE. Now delta IC by delta IE is nothing but alpha. So the numerator is alpha, this is 1 minus alpha. So beta equal to alpha divided by 1 minus alpha. So this is the relation between the current amplification factors of common emitter connection and common base connection. So from this equation you can see as alpha approaches 1, beta approaches infinity. And as I said, common emitter connection is the most popular configuration. Majority of the transistor application, they employ this particular configuration. And the last one, common collector connection or CC connection. So here the collector of the transistor is common to both input and output circuit as shown in this figure. So here VBB is the source voltage at the base side, and VEE is the source voltage at the emitter side, and the input circuit is forward bias and the output circuit is reverse bias. So here you can see the input current is the base current, output current is the emitter current. So the current amplification factor gamma is defined as ratio of change in emitter current to the change in base current, gamma equal to delta IE divided by delta IB. Let's derive the relation between gamma and alpha now. So delta IE equal to delta IB plus delta IC, from which I can write delta IB equal to delta IE minus delta IC. Gamma is delta IE by delta IB. Instead of delta IB, now I can write delta IE minus delta IC. Both numerator and denominator you divide with delta IE. Gamma now becomes delta IE divided by delta IE whole divided by delta IE by delta IE minus delta IC by delta IE. So numerator is 1 divided by 1 minus delta IC by delta IE is alpha. So gamma equal to 1 divided by 1 minus alpha. So this is how the current amplification factors are related. But if you look at the current amplification factor magnitude here, since delta IB is very small, the current amplification factor is pretty good here. But if you look at the voltage gain of common collector connection, it is very small. So practically the common collector connection also doesn't have much use. So if you compare all the three configuration, common emitter configuration is the most widely used. Common base and common collector are not much used because one of their amplification factors is very poor. In the case of common base, the current amplification factor is very poor. In the case of common collector, the voltage amplification factor is very poor. So let's now try to analyze the common emitter connection in more details. Let's try to understand its current voltage characteristics. Okay, so we have done this analysis in the case of a diode. So basically you vary the voltage across a transistor and monitor the behavior of the current, right? So you have an NPN transistor here connected in the common emitter configuration. So VBB is the source voltage or the bias voltage at the base side. VCC is the source voltage at the collector side. Now for IV characteristic measurement, you need to vary the voltage, right? So for that we use a variable resistance or a rheostat here. So when you change the rheostat, VBB is going to change. Sorry, not VBB. The voltage drop between base and emitter, VBE, is going to change. Similarly, when you change the rheostat, the voltage drop between the collector and emitter at the output side, VCE, is going to change. Okay. So you have two voltages here, the input voltage VBE and the output voltage VCE. Similarly, you have two currents, input current IB and output current IC. So basically you have two type of characteristics. One is the input characteristic, which is going to tell you the relation between VBE and IB. Second one is the output characteristic, which will reveal the relation between VCE and IC. So you need to have two ammeters, one for IB measurement, one for IC measurement, and two voltmeters, one for VBE measurement and one for VCE measurement. And if you look at the magnitudes involved here, you can see the base current is very small. It's order of microamperes, and IC is the amplified current. So this is of the order of milliamperes. First, let's talk about input characteristic. So input characteristic is the curve drawn between base current IB and base emitter voltage VBE at constant collector emitter voltage VCE. As I said in the earlier class, a transistor can be approximated as a combination of two diodes, right? One is the emitter diode, one is the collector diode. So since we are talking about the input side, this is the emitter base diode side, right? Or the emitter diode side, right? And the emitter side is always forward bias, right? So since the base emitter section of a transistor is like a diode which is forward bias, the input characteristic is going to look exactly like the IV curve of a normal forward bias diode. So we are familiar with the IV curve as a forward bias diode. So this is the current versus voltage graph. So in the case of a transistor, this is voltage VBE versus current IB. Okay. So this is the typical diode behavior, right? So up to around 0.7 volt in the case of silicon, you do not have much current flow because here the barrier potential is opposing the electron flow. But once you overcome the barrier potential, then the current increases considerably as a function of voltage, right? So this is the typical diode behavior. So from this curve, you can define the input resistance of a common emitter configuration as resistance is nothing but voltage divided by current. So in this case, input resistance Ri equal to delta VBE divided by delta IB at constant output voltage VCE. And typically it's the order of a few hundreds of ohm. Now what about the output characteristic? Output characteristic is a curve drawn between the collector current IC and the collector emitter voltage VCE at constant base current IB. So the output resistance is defined as voltage delta VCE divided by delta IC at constant IB. It's typically around 50 kilo ohms, right? So if you look at the input resistance, this is a few hundreds of ohm. Output resistance is a few kilo ohms. So you are transferring signal from a low resistance circuit to a high resistance circuit. Now, if you look at the graph between VCE and IC, this is how it looks like. It has three major regions. First one is a saturation region, which ranges from 0 volt to up to 1 volt. Then from 1 volt to 40 volt, you have the active region, and this is the basic operational region of an amplifier. Then above 40 volt, you have the breakdown region, which is very similar to breakdown of a reverse bias diode. First, let's look at the saturation region, 0 to 1 volt. So when VCE equal to 0, so remember VCE is the voltage at the collector side and the collector is reverse bias, right? So basically VCE is the reverse bias. So when VCE is 0, the reverse bias is 0, so the collector diode is not reverse bias. Remember, it is the reverse bias which pulls the electron away from the emitter base junction towards the collector, right? So when the reverse bias is 0, the collector current is going to be 0. So when VCE equal to 0, IC equal to 0. So this is the starting point of the graph. Now when VCE increases from 0, slowly the reverse bias increases. As a result, the collector current also increases, right? But in this region, the collector diode is not completely reverse bias. So since collector diode has insufficient positive voltage to collect all the free electrons injected into the base, right? So as a result, what happens is, we know that IE equal to IB plus IC. Since the collector diode is not completely reverse bias, the value of IC is small. So what happens? If IC is small, then naturally the value of IB is higher. So during the saturation region, the base current is larger than normal. Since beta is IC divided by IB, when IB is large, beta is small. So during the saturation region, the current amplification factor, current gain is very small. So for amplification purpose, usually we do not operate a transistor in the saturation region. Basically, this happens because your collector diode is not completely reverse bias. Next one is the active region. This is the normal operation of a transistor amplifier, which ranges from 1 volt to 40 volt. So here the emitter diode is forward biased and the collector diode is completely reverse biased. So the collector is able to collect almost all the free electrons the emitter injects into the base. Now if you look at this region, you can notice that there is a considerable change in VCE, but IC remains almost a constant, right? So the further increase in VCE doesn't increase IC, as collector can collect only those electrons injected by emitter into the base. The number of these electrons depend only on the base circuit and not on the collector circuit. Hence, collector current remains constant. So I can illustrate this with an example. Suppose the emitter of the transistor is able to inject 100 electrons into the base. So initially VCE is 0, reverse bias is 0. So what happens? The entire 100 electron will go into the base current. So the collector current is 0. Now you slowly increase VC. Now it is in a position where it can collect 1 electron. So out of 100 electrons from the emitter, 1 electron will go into the collector circuit, remaining 99 will go into the base. So collector current is now 1. Now we slowly increase VCE so that it is in a position to collect 2 electrons. Right? So collector current is now 2, base current is 90. So when you slowly increase VCE, proportionally IC is going to increase. Now look at this position, the topmost position. Now you increase VCE such a way that the collector is able to collect all the 100 electrons now. So the collector current is now 100, base current is 0, right? Now if you increase VCE further from this point, suppose you increase it so that collector has the capability to collect 101 electrons now. The emitter is providing only 100 electrons, right? So even though collector has the capability to collect 101 electrons, it is able to collect only 100 electrons. Right? As a result, the collector current is still 100. So even though you increase VCE, collector current is the same. You increase it further. You increase VCE such that the collector has the capability now to collect 150 electrons. But look at the emitter, the source. Source is still providing only 100. So even though collector has the capability of collecting 150, in reality it is able to collect only 100. So once again IC remains constant. So this is what happens in the active region. Throughout the region, how much ever you change VCE, since the source electrons are controlled by the base circuit, the variation in VCE throughout the active region is not going to affect the collector current. As a result, IC remains a constant here. Finally, when you move on to breakdown, what happens? So for breakdown, you need to increase VCE above 40 voltage. Remember, VCE is the reverse bias voltage here, right? So when you increase reverse bias beyond a point, we know that what happens due to avalanche effect, a large number of minority carriers are generated at the junction. So because of this very high flow of minority carriers, a large amount of heat is generated. As a result, the collector diode breaks down, right? So the normal transistor action is lost in the breakdown region. The transistor will get damaged in this breakdown region. So unlike a Zener diode, which is optimized for breakdown operation, a transistor is not intended for operation in the breakdown region. So whenever you use a transistor, you need to knock down the breakdown voltage, and you need to make sure that throughout the operation VCE is well below this breakdown region. Otherwise, the transistor is going to get damaged. Now, this is a single curve at IB equal to 10 microampere. Suppose if I vary the base current, what happens to the output characteristic? So this is the variation of the output curve as a function of the base current. So basically you can see when you increase the base current, the collector current is also going to increase. Now, as IB increases in the base loop, IC also increases in the collector loop. And why this happens? Because when you make some changes in the circuit to increase IB, basically you need to play with the emitter circuit, right? So you tweak the emitter circuit so that IB increases. So basically what happens, IE equal to IB plus IC. So if you want to increase IB, you need to increase IE, the emitter current. And when you increase emitter current, naturally the collector current is also going to increase. So that's what happens. So because emitter is providing more charges with increase of both IB and IC. So when you increase IB, automatically IC is also increases. Now look at the bottommost curve. So this is the curve corresponding to IB equal to 0. So you can see that here IC is almost 0, right? Because the source is providing almost nil charges. As a result, both IB and IC are almost 0. And there is a small current existing here. That's because of the minority carriers, but the amount of minority carriers are very, very small. So for all practical purpose, you can assume that IC equal to 0 when IB equal to 0. So this bottom curve is known as the cutoff region. So this is the fourth important region in the output characteristic. When the base current is 0, the collector current is also 0. That's the cutoff region. So basically you have 4 important regions, right? So you start with the cutoff region where there is no collector current. Then you have saturation region where there is a small increase in the collector current. Then you have active region where you have a good amount of collector current but it is constant. And you have breakdown region where there is a large increase in collector current but this is completely unwanted. So as I said, the amplifier always operates in the active region where IC is a constant. Now if you look at the saturation region and cutoff region, at cutoff region there is no current and at saturation region you have some current, right? So if you operate between these two, so basically you are switching between an on position and off position. In cutoff there is no current, this is like off position of a switch. In saturation you have some current, this is the on position of a switch. Okay, so if you operate a transistor between these two states, you can make a transistor work like a switch. So these are the 2 important applications of a transistor. 1 as an amplifier, 2 as a switch. Third one, breakdown region. This is an unwanted region. You should never operate in this region. So that's about the input and output characteristics of a common emitter configuration. In the next class, we will discuss in detail about the amplification of a common emitter configuration. Before winding up, let's do a quick problem. A transistor is connected in common emitter configuration in which collector supply is 8 volt and the voltage drop across the resistance RC connected in the collector circuit is 0.5 volt. Value of RC is 800 ohm. If alpha is 0.96, find collector emitter voltage VCE and base current IB. Okay, so this is the common emitter configuration. VBB is the source voltage at the base side. We don't have to bother about it. And the source voltage at the collector side, VCC, is given as 8 volt. Load resistance is 800 ohm and the voltage drop across it is 0.5 volt. So we need to find IB and VCE. Let's first find out VCE. So we know that out of the 8 volt supply here, 0.5 volt is dropped across the load resistor. The remaining is going to drop between collector and emitter, right? So VCE is VCC minus 0.5. So 8 minus 0.5, this is 7.5 volt. Straightforward. Right? Now we need to find base current. Okay, so we know that IC by IB is the current amplification factor. Right? So if you find collector current IC and the current amplification factor beta, we can calculate base current, right? And what is the collector current? Whatever current which flows through this load resistor RC is the collector current, right? So how do you find current across a resistor or flowing through a resistor? Basically voltage divided by resistance. So IC equal to 0.5 volt divided by 800 ohms. This is 0.625 milliampere. Now alpha is given, from which I can find beta as alpha divided by 1 minus alpha. So this is 24. So once I find all beta and IC, I can calculate IB as IC divided by beta. So 0.625 divided by 24, this is 0.026 milliampere. So that's for today. Thank you.